Hello, everybody. We are back. That's right. We are back. My name is Renee Carter,
And I'm Glenn Thomas.
and we're here with Heart Talk Live.
Talk Live,
Yes, Heart Talk Live.
Glad to be back on a fantastic Friday. Thanks for joining us today. Off day for us, meaning this is our not our normal day, but we just had to jump on the day. We just want to get down to the crux of it, and so glad to be here on the Friday.
Right. And today we have a great discussion coming. I'm so excited that we're going to jump right in. And it's sourcing. The topic is sourcing to separation. So, Glenn, what you got for us today? Let's just get to it.
I'm gonna do some. Let's get. I'm gonna check in with a couple of our comments. Hey, Shelby, glad that you joined us. Angie says she can't hear us on LinkedIn. Not sure why.
Shelby.
Okay. Not sure why. Keep us updated on why you can't hear, Angie, because you should be able to hear.
I'm going to go to LinkedIn. You can get started. I'll go ahead and try to see if I can troubleshoot just a minute.
Well, let's just see here. We're going to have to rush. I'll go over to LinkedIn and let me see here. Let me see. You can't hear, Angie, because you should. I can hear.
You can hear her? I mean, you can hear yourself?
Yep. Okay. Oh, she can now. She says she can now. Okay.
Okay, good. Awesome.
She's good to go. Listen, so look, we're going to talk today about, we've been doing, I've had the great opportunity and fortune to be able to be on, be a guest speaker over the last few weeks with some organizations. I think this past weekend, I was able to sit in with an organization, a nonprofit board foundation, and talk about gifts and, how leaders use their gifts and their why and their purpose. I was also able to sit in yesterday with Shaw University and sit on with their entrepreneurs department and just talk about leadership and the evolution of leadership. And what it really got me thinking about, in our team is how we're helping organizations around people, helping people within their agencies. And it got me thinking that we need to really go deeper about the how. How do organizations ultimately really enhance their cultures, their evolving cultures around people, but do it in a way that's very intentional? When we talk about sourcing talent to the time where talent either voluntarily leaves or involuntarily leaves, right? I mean, that's a big lifespan, right? That we want to intentionally influence. So today I wanted us to really share some tactics, some tools, the how. How do we shift from where we are to where we would like to be? Because listen, the how is the question that we always receive, right? People talk about, we know kind of the what, we even know the why in most cases, but how? How do we do this? So we're going to talk today about the how. And so if you don't have the paper and the pen, this is the conversation that you don't necessarily just want to, save and record for the video. You want to write some of these things down. We're going to jump in. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Listen, I'm ready. This is a great topic. I love this. I'm so glad that we're touching this today.
So
I'm excited, actually.
So sourcing to separation, how people leaders are basically using heart-centered leadership to basically create a culture of where employees are more joyful, where they're more engaged, they're more productive, they perform at a high level, and they have longevity. I mean, look, bless you. So those are some areas that, when we talk about pain points in people, that's it. We need people to have an amazing experience in order for our organizations to thrive. And so I want to jump in. The first thing, though, I want to say is this. When we break down organizational construct, we really break down. Watch this. Hold on. Let me get this out the way. Get out. I have my window open,
Oh boy.
and stuff started flying in the window.
Oh no.
Start breaking down organizations into three areas: people, products, and processes. But for today, we're going to talk about people. And the reason why is because we believe that people, that's the most valuable asset, the essential component to everything we do, right?
That's got to be your favorite thing.
That's got to be my favorite thing. It's my most favorite thing. Oprah's most favorite things. It's my most favorite thing. People.
People. Right.
So, three questions that we want to ask yourself. The first is, how does love show up in your actions? That's the first question I want you to ask yourself. Yeah.
Are you being attacked on live? Look.
I am being attacked on live. It's crazy. It's real. Look, that's what lives are, right?
They'll send in the forces. Look, you kill one.
I had to close my window. I need to put a screen in that window.
Yes.
So the first question is, how does love show up in your actions? Okay, ask yourself that as a leader, as a people leader. How does love show up in your actions? The second question is, what are you affirming in your first and next impressions? Look,
please, Shelby.
Real talk, Shelby. You know about that skin so soft. That thing works.
Listen here, skin so soft works.
That thing works.
I think if you're from Georgia, you know skin so soft.
So the second question, guys, what are you affirming in your first and next impressions? What does that question mean? It means basically when talent, perspective, when they see you, when they hear you, right? What's the first impression that they receive? And then if you are able to engage with them, what are those subsequent impressions, right? So what are the impressions that you're affirming for people when they connect with you? And the third question is, how are you being complicit in a culture that serves people?
How are you being complicit?
How are you being complicit in whatever your culture is in your organization? Like, how are you being complicit? Okay, because we have questions about what's happening, what's going wrong. You know, there's some things that may be going right. But what's the complicity factor for yourself? Okay, those are the first three questions that we want to start off with that you need to ask yourself. All right. As we have this conversation about sourcing and separation, I want you to think about these areas right here. The first would be recruitment and follow-up communication. Write this down: recruitment and follow-up communication. Okay. The second is data collection and follow-up. The third is talent retention management system. Now, look, if you don't have a talent retention management system, like what is that? What's a TRM? Right? A TRM is just like a CRM for any type of business. When people give you their information because they're interested in working with you, how do you not only collect that data, but how do you use that data after that initial interaction and sharing of information? That talent relationship management system doesn't need to be just a data collection source. It needs to be more than that. It needs to be a repository that you use intentionally, actively, to engage with people who have basically said, I'm interested in you as an organization. All right. So your TRM, that's a big, big deal. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. The fourth point is learning and development. All right. Learning and development. When we talk about sourcing and separation, we must address learning and development. Then succession and career pathing, and then voluntary and involuntary separations. All right. All of those things are critically important to the conversation about sourcing and separation. All right. All right. Everybody with me?
Everybody's with you.
Everybody with me? All right.
I'm with you.
That's a lot of information, but it's critically important because we're talking about the how today. All right. The how. This is the question that we're going to ask before we jump into these three areas. What are your quote unquote heart-centered leaders, because I'm calling everyone out here a heart-centered leader, even if you don't define yourself as such. What are your heart-centered leaders focused on? Day in and day out. What are you focused on? Because that's the conversation today. Because what you're focused on is what will come to life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you're focused on managing people, then that's what's going to happen. You're going to manage people. Okay? Meaning you're not going to illuminate any passions or skills or strengths. You're not going to illuminate any gifts. You're not going to inspire too many folks with managing them. If you're focused on managing to the operational status quo, that's what's going to happen. Whatever you focus on, that's what's going to happen. So the question is, what are you focused on every single day? Answer that question. And if you can't answer it, just leave it blank, because that's a question you need to ask yourself. When I was kind of in my transformed state of mind in the retail sector, the one thing that came to me very quickly was that managing the performance of people was a lost cause. And I want people leaders to understand this. And the reason why we're speaking of people leaders is because people leaders set the tone for other people leaders, right? Especially if you're in an executive role where you're setting policy, you're constructing the way we operate in the organization. You set the tone. So if you understand fully that managing people's performance is a lost cause, it is a empty endeavor, then I want to talk to you today about how we create cultures from sourcing to separation that actually embody love. Why love is important, starting from sourcing to separation. Love. I'm not mixing up the word. I'm not going to water down the word. I'm not going to change the word. It's love. I want to share with you a quote by Rick Warren. We love this quote. Rick Warren says that the first job of leadership is to love people. I'm going to say it again. The first job of leadership is to love people. The second part of that quote is leadership without love is manipulation. I want you to sit with that. Everybody listening right now, I want you to sit with the fact that Rick Warren says it very explicitly. He doesn't mix words. He doesn't try to give you some ambiguous type of framework in that quote. He says it very explicitly. Leadership without love is manipulation. So either you are doing one or the other. You are either manipulating the people in your organization, or you are loving them. I'm gonna let that sit down for a second. Renee, I don't know if that's
you're gonna let that sizzle in your spirit.
Listen, I want somebody to charge back on us on anything in between.
I really want that, because I think that will open up a really good conversation about how. I think it'll open up a really good conversation about why love is so essential to what we do every day with people, and what we're actually asking them to do in their actions to love people, right? So it's not what you think. We're not asking you to hug and kiss on anybody. What we're asking you to do in your actions is very simple. It's a very simple concept of patience and kindness and gentleness and goodness. It's about being good, and it's all about your intention. But I know you're going to talk about that.
So we're going to talk about basically how you love in the workplace, right? Because listen, that's the big question. Well, how do I love in the workplace? Like, how do I translate love in the workplace, right? Because the opposite of love is manipulation.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, we're gonna have to come to some agreements in this thing, right? Period. Opposite of love is manipulation. So we're gonna go with that. Everyone wants to love love their teams in an environment that basically illuminates who they are as people and gives them a sense of value and joy, that basically takes an organization's culture to higher heights. So we're going to talk about how we do this. How do we love and sourcing to separation? The first thing I want to talk about in the how is around people. In our framework, we talk about the importance of people. There are three components. The first component is how we address people. From the time we engage with them through a recruitment, job description, flyer, marketing, description that we say we're hiring for this job, we're hiring for this role. We want you to send us your resume. From that time, that first engagement, we are demonstrating how we love our team. From the words we use, from the way we use those types of words, from the types of responses that we give to people that actually submit to us their resumes, right? Their applications, their job applications. It's the first impression. We talked about impressions in the beginning, right? It's the first impression. When we talk about people, we talk about three areas: passion, skills, and strengths. Mm-hmm. How do I love people in their passion? Mm-hmm. The result of loving people in their passion is how you connect with them. Mm-hmm. Passion connects us. So if you're a people leader and you're trying to figure out, how do I begin this journey of love with people who are interested in my organization or who may be in my organization? Passion. Everyone has a passion. Every single person.
Glenn, can I say something really quickly to you though? I mean, to them though. And in order for you to actually connect with people, I want you all to understand that your heart has to be curious about who they are and what they bring. Your heart has to be naturally curious. It can't be business as usual. So your heart needs to be naturally curious about what people love, what excites them, what makes them, what drives them. And you've got to also turn your eyes and your ears open to what you see, what you hear, and your heart open to what you feel about what people love.
And I think that's a great segue into when you look at people's skills. Mm-hmm. Right? When you look at people's skills, like the affirmation or the affirmation that we're really looking for there is that, how you develop people. Mm-hmm. How are you developing people? Once you hire them, once you bring them into the fold, love is demonstrated through how you invest in their development. Right? Mm-hmm. When people say, man, how do we love on our team when we're paying them maybe a wage? It might not be that competitive. We have some decent benefits, but how do we continue to show love? Well, learning and developing upon people's skills is actually an affirmation of love. Okay? It must be intentional though. And if you're wondering why, where we have certain levels of employees that are having this great resignation, right? Where they're leaving, they're going other places, and they're listen, they're closing up shop, quitting jobs. It's not about salary. Mm-mm. It's not about money. When you decide that you want to invest in someone, it gives them pause to think, oh, that's love, that's value. That's someone demonstrating something of an emotional connection. It's investing. The third place is your strengths, basically how you celebrate. How do you celebrate people in their strength? I can say Renee is just a great people person. She connects people. I'm going to ensure that I really acknowledge and celebrate her strengths, so she recognizes that I know that she adds value to the organization. And while she's here, before she gets a little antsy, before she try and pack up shop and go somewhere else, I'm going to intentionally celebrate her. I'm going to intentionally make sure she sees a career path within this organization in some kind of way. Even if it's not with us, I'm going to show her that I know that she has strengths, that if she can't move up the ladder here, we're going to help her move up the ladder somewhere. Right?
Mm-hmm.
These are the three ways: passion, skills, and strengths, that we show how we love people before we hire them and after we hire them.
May I share something with everybody really quickly? And let me just say this. I'm not going to share who this is, but probably I mentor a whole lot of people. And I mentor many people who are especially trying to go into education, or they want to be in education. And one of the teachers texted me last week and said, God told me to send you a message because I am feeling low on energy and I'm just so discouraged. I don't think that this is the job for me. Anyway, yesterday she sent me a text message, and in her text message, this is what she wrote. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of it. It's long, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of it. She said, of course. So she said, she got great rating reviews. That's not important to read. She got great rating reviews on her evaluation. And she's talked about needing a major evaluation. But what she says is, what gave me a boost today is when my FSC, that's our coordinating teacher, said, watching me teach gave her joy. She actually said joy. And every day I ask to be a blessing and to have joy in the midst of agony. To hear her say that was amazing. And it helped me to push even harder and to move even further with where I want to go in this profession. That's a teacher intern. That's somebody who's not even getting paid to take the stress on of education. And what she said was, the teacher, her FSC said, watching you teach gives me joy. She told her how she felt watching her in action, doing something that was amazing. And she said it gave her a boost of energy to continue and to press on in the profession.
She celebrated her strength.
She celebrated her strength.
She celebrated her strength, right?
And she celebrated her strength. Exactly.
And so that is, if not equally, or possibly even more valuable than writing her a check.
Writing her a check. She don't even get paid to go in and get stressed out.
So what we want to really be clear to people leaders, right, as you're listening, all the people leaders, is this: no matter how you want to cut it, we get it. People want compensation for time spent. We understand that. I'm not dismissing that. But at a certain point, we all must understand, no matter what level of job you're on, there has to be a subsequent action that has nothing to do with transactional relationship.
Yes.
I want to say that again.
Say it again. I'm saying for the people in the back.
We fully understand that compensation is a driver and motivating factor in if I opt in to come work with you. But I also know that compensation alone will not get the best out of me, nor will it keep me here in your organization. That's on every single level of talent.
Absolutely.
Okay? People, focusing on people, passion, skills, and strengths is the key entry point to ensuring that the sourcing to separation lifespan is healthy, is enjoyable, is thriving. We must first focus on people. How are we demonstrating that we love people? The second component is culture. Because once we get into the people space, we can then actually, right, cultivate nurture culture. Okay? Culture has three components: identity, values, and relationships. Okay? Your culture has an identity. All right? And no matter whether you want it to be the identity you have or not, it has one. Right now, people are speaking things about your organization based on what they identify it with. All right? They're saying things that you might want them to say and saying things you may not want them to say. Not either way, they're saying them. When we talk about identity and how you translate into how do we love in identity, how do we love people in identity, it's how you welcome and include people.
It's how you welcome and include. Listen
to me.
And wait a minute. You can't be the only one welcoming and including them. If you've got a culture of welcome and inclusion, Glenn Thomas, then everybody welcomes and includes them.
Look, when we're talking about DEI, when we're talking about all these efforts around diversity, equity, inclusion, and so forth and so on, look, the one thing I ask people is, how do you welcome and how do you welcome people into the fold? You know, how do you bring people in? Because you can hear this from a lot of job seekers. The way you recruit me, come on now, the way you recruit me is going to say a hell of a lot about the way you are going to develop me, the way you're going to welcome me, the way you're going to support me, the way you're going to value me, the way you're going to promote me, celebrate me, the way you're going to separate from me if and when I ever separate from you. There are indicators in the welcoming. And if you're a people leader, you must ask yourself, how are we welcoming people? Because if you can get your hands wrapped around how you're welcoming people, I can for sure probably tell you that's how people see you for who you are and your identity as an organization.
Absolutely.
How you welcome and include people. That's the first key. The second key are values. Values. Your values as an organization. And love is demonstrated through your value system. Like, we all have values. The question is how you inspire and leverage belief. I'm gonna say it slower. How are you inspiring and leveraging the belief in what you espouse in your value system?
I need you to go back to that leveraging part, and I need you to sing a note off of that. I need you to do more than just hit the chorus on that, because I think we're gonna need a whole bridge and verse.
You know, we take for granted that when people come into our organization, that they're not concerned about the value system. Just because they don't explicitly say it, just because they don't raise hell about it, just because they don't send emails about it, we take for granted that they're not concerned about the values of the organization. We have to remember, people leaders, that we are in the people business. And when you hire somebody, just because they don't talk about something doesn't mean they're not thinking about it and feeling it. People, more today than ever before in the history of the marketplace and the job marketplace, are connecting their value system with your values. How you inspire, though, people, right? And how you leverage the beliefs of people in through your value system is primary to all of how they're going to respond when things get tough. You see, if people understand that you value certain things that connect with them, that inspire them, when times get tough, they're less likely to what?
Run.
To run. They're less likely to
check out,
find another job. They're less likely to disengage and find something else. They're less likely, right? Because you've connected them and inspired them in a value system that says that we are in this together. We value the things you value. We value things that are positively going to influence others. And because of that, we inspire you. And hopefully in return, we're able to leverage that belief system into joy, engagement, high performance, right? And longevity.
Gotcha.
The third piece of culture is about relationships. Relationships.
They're not ready.
Come on now.
They're not ready.
I want to know how many people leaders have meetings with other people leaders, operational people leaders, and talk about relationships. Just relationships. Not performance metrics, not operational metrics, but just relationship. Talk to me when you sit in the room and you go on with your operational managers and you say, talk to me about how the relationships are going, folks. How are the relationships going? How are things going? And the reason why is because when we talk about love,
Jessica?
when we talk about love, right? And how love shows up in our culture, the question is how you build and grow trust actually is through relationships. That's where love shows up. Love shows up in how you build and grow relationships. I'm not talking about being best friends. No, I'm not talking about going out on Friday nights with the whole team. I'm not talking about that. That's not building relationship. The how you build relationship and grow trust is through authentic connection, dialogue, understanding, listening, feeling what people on your team are telling you, sharing with you, opening up to you. Because people, when they feel that they have an authentic relationship with you, when they feel there's a trust with you, they are more likely to experience engagement. They're more likely to experience joy. They're more likely to be open and vulnerable. They're more likely to not just not call and not show up. They're more likely to actually trust you with the information that they're sharing with you. They're more likely to be a high performer. They're more likely to stay the course, even when times get rough.
Even when time gets rough.
Especially identity, values, and relationships. If you want to show love, understand how to demonstrate love, you must focus on identity, values, and relationships when it comes to culture. Okay? The last piece of this is about excellence, though. Excellence, is key because we all want to be excellent in all of what we do. And I think the big conundrum in organizations is, by default, they figure as though, because you're here, because we pay you, you must strive for excellence. Like, it's embedded in the contract. We pay you, so we expect you to be excellent. And that's the furthest from the truth. Embedded in the contract is not excellence. See, excellence actually is what happens when the people on your team say, "Oh, no, you paid me to show up and do a job, but what you've done is you've invested in me. You've shown me how you love me and value me, and so excellence by that fact then will be achieved because now I'm doubling down on your investment. I'm going the extra mile on your investment. I'm going to go farther than you ever thought I could go because you've shown me something. You've demonstrated love. And so I'm going for excellence. The question around how do we demonstrate love in an excellence culture? The first place is how we perceive excellence. How do you perceive excellence?
Ooh, yes.
The question here is when we want to demonstrate love in excellence, how you communicate and develop champions.
Mm.
Listen to me. Look, we make it too hard. We make it too
But,
hard.
but we don't have time to develop and communicate champions because we got paperwork. We have all of this stuff, Glenn, that we have to do. And we don't, that's the last thing that we have time to do.
We make it too hard, Renee. What I'm saying to folks is this. What you intend to do will get done. I want us to rethink what we're spending our time on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying metrics are bad. I'm not saying that data is bad. I believe in metrics and data. I believe in analyzing data. But what I'm also saying is human behavior and psychology. That's what's driving the data. And if we can take a moment to intentionally focus on communication and developing champions within the construct of our organization, clearly articulating what excellence is and what it means to us and why our teams are essential to achieving excellence. Come on now.
Listen.
The outcomes then become a collective effort as opposed to a told effort. Oh, you ain't hear me on that one.
Go ahead.
Instead of telling folks that you want them to do something, you don't need to tell them. All you got to do is communicate and develop a champion, and then they'll go, and the rest will be history.
And then I guess you could probably put down that data, because all of that, looking at the data, listen, engaging in data is great. But if at the same time that you're engaging in data, your people are failing, they're flopping, they're not, they don't understand what you expect of them, they haven't been championed, then the data is always going to look the same. You don't need to look at the data as much. We need to focus on the people more.
It's about making decisions, making the choice, right? Making the choice to invest in the foundation of excellence, and that's people. How do you communicate and develop champions? That's perception, right? How you perceive excellence. The second piece of excellence is though how do you prepare, right? You know, in this construct of now that people are inside the organization, how do you prepare for excellence? It's how you team. I love this concept of teaming, right? You know, so many people write about teaming. Dr. Amy Edmondson writes about teaming. What teaming really is. How do you show love? Through preparation towards excellence, you team. Teaming is a thing. It is a verb. It's an action. Teaming is the collective effort of all of us towards a common goal. And when you include everyone, even if it's for the smallest contribution, you're demonstrating love. You're demonstrating love, right? Because what we're saying is all of us matter in this common goal. You're preparing for excellence. And then the last piece of excellence, how do we show love and excellence, is how we persist. How we persist, because ultimately we know that folks get down sometimes, and we know that when folks start getting down on themselves, it can be a little contagious, and folks start talking, and it's we've all been in organizations where it just takes a couple of folks to be down about something, to not feel included in something, to where that gets contagious, and that we don't persist. We want to kind of quit. We want to kind of disengage. How you develop and leverage resilience is how you demonstrate love. Persisting. I'm going to say it again. How you develop and leverage resilience. What are you doing in your organization as a people leader to ensure that resilience is a top of mind conversation? Okay. Because people leaders, frontline leaders, people that are day to day working with teams, if they're not fueling and leveraging resilience, then how can you persist? How can you demonstrate love in an excellence culture?
Right.
Because we know there are going to be ebbs and flows, right? We know there are
Mm-hmm.
going to be ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it. We're talking about people, culture, and excellence. But more importantly, we're talking about the investment, the intentional investment
In people.
in people,
Yep.
right? That's what this is about, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Absolutely.
What do you think about that?
Whoo! Listen, I think that either this is a heavy topic for some folks,
It's heavy.
or it's a relief for some people. I think it's one of the two extremes. I really do. But I think that people need to understand this. The productive and brother Glenn Thomas taught me this when I first started working with him. And I didn't even realize that I believed it, but it goes to speak to how I always felt when people failed in my care, and why I always felt like I had also failed. And let me give you something hard that you just need to receive. When you are charged with serving the people who are under your care, then it is your failure. And that's what that feeling, that gut feeling you have when people leave you and they leave you with a bad taste in their mouths, when they leave you and they say you didn't support me, when they leave you and they don't say anything. This is because as a leader, we have failed them. And it is just like we look at data to see how others are performing or persisting, just like we look at data on how other people are performing, the people in our organization, the people that we're charged with, understand that when that data is not demonstrating what you would like to see in productivity, we need to understand that when it's down, then we failed. When it's up, then we all win. As leaders, we have to start taking responsibility and become accountable for the performance, for the excellence, for the culture, and for the people within our organization. We have to. If we don't, then who? We are charged with making the decisions. We are charged with making sure that the culture is comfortable. We are charged with making sure the relationships are safe and healthy. We're charged with making sure the communication is prosperous and that it's not damaging to what we have, what we believe, or what damaging to our culture. We have to make sure that everyone is on the same accord in what our values are in our organization. When our communication is right, when we are working with people, when we are loving on people, when we're understanding, when we're listening to folks tell us that we're unhappy and this is why, when we're not listening to people say, I feel like I've hit a brick wall, when we're not listening to people say that I don't feel appreciated, then I feel like we're not just damaging that person, but we're damaging the organization as a whole. And that's just what I believe.
I think we have to have an accounting of, you know, as people leaders in an enterprise role, whether you're CHRO or people officer, what have you, you have to take an accounting of the organization's intentional treatment of people. Like whether or not they're people that you are prospecting through sourcing, or people that actually work with the organization, or people that are on the way out for whatever reason, voluntarily or involuntarily.
And where does intention start, Glenn? I wanted you to say this right quick. Where does intention start?
Oh, it starts literally when you say we want X.
But where's it rooted?
Oh, well, it's rooted. Yeah, it's rooted in the heart. Thank you for saying that, Angie. It's rooted in the heart. Obviously,
yeah.
It starts with the idea that when you say we want a more inclusive culture. Okay. Well, if you want a more inclusive culture, then you must assess
Mhm.
culture fairly,
Yes.
right? Accurately. You must use what you know and then what you don't know and find out what you don't know to assess what does inclusivity look like right now in your culture.
Absolutely.
But to that effect, what we're talking about is, again, the lifespan of how people interact with your organization.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about sourcing, that beginning phase, that beginning stage, right? But also now getting over to separation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a place where sourcing says a hell of a lot about your organization, but separation tells the tale.
Ooh, how people leave.
Listen, let's
Mm.
talk. Let's talk about it right quick. Look, how people enter, it says a heck of a lot. Right? We talked about that. How you welcome people in, how you recruit them, how you interview them, how you
Mhm.
onboard them. Like it says a lot. But how you separate with somebody, whether it be voluntarily or not,
Mhm.
it tells the tale of who you are as an organization.
Yes.
The question I would ask you is, are you separating with love?
Mhm.
So so this is the big one, right? Because when how in relationships, when we done with when we done in relationship, we just done. Like
You just look, delete them off Facebook,
folks
block them.
delete you,
Look,
right? They delete you, they block you.
I don't even want you seeing my stuff. Look.
I mean, when human beings get done with other human beings,
Yes.
done. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's a wrap. Like all
Yeah.
that love I gave you when you were here, all those bonus checks, all those performance
They don't
reviews,
count.
it don't matter no more. It's done, right?
Right.
As a people leader, as an organization, ask yourself, are you separating with love? If you don't hear anything else today, if you don't receive anything today,
Mhm.
if you don't care about anything we talked about today, the one thing I would challenge you to ask yourself is, how are you separating? And are you separating with love? Because if you are not separating with love, and I can tell you an easy indicator, here you go. If you're not separating with love, then all of what you've done is for naught.
But not.
It's literally, it doesn't even matter if you can't separate with love. What does separating with love look like?
Mhm.
It's pretty simple.
Mhm.
Separating with love says, even if we didn't see eye to eye, even if you didn't work out, even if we didn't do our part, we're going to intentionally help you move to your next level.
We're going to intentionally help. Listen,
It, it's
we're going to intentionally, and that's the word. We're going to intentionally support your growth, whether you're here or not. You're always going to be family.
we gonna love you to your next phase in life.
We're going to love you to your, and that doesn't mean just filling out a form that says, yeah, this person was all right. It also means taking the phone call when the person says. It also means, do you think that they could come back?
Yeah, I'm about to go deeper. I'm about to hurt some feelings.
Uh-oh. I
Hurt
love
feeling
it.
alert.
I love hurt feeling alerts.
Hurt feeling alert.
Some of y'all might want to get out of here.
Loving someone as they leave your organization, especially when it's voluntary because they were not pleased with something that happened, loving them out of your organization means something that you're going to have to do something that organizations don't do really well. You got to be contrite.
Mm,
Can you be contrite?
mm.
And listen, I'm not talking about the legalese. I'm not talking about the stuff you can't legally say. I'm not getting all into that. I'm just talking about, can you say we messed this thing up?
Whoa.
Can you say we messed this thing up?
No, because Glenn, we have a listen. We have a reputation to uphold. We can, if we admit it, if we admit that we actually messed this thing up, then that means that they're going to go out and say that that's actually what we did.
But I have a flip side for you, right?
Please.
Maybe if we're contrite as an organization when things don't go well, whether or not it's our responsibility or it was the other person's responsibility, no matter what, separation is separation at the end of the day. Being contrite, what if owning up to our part as an organization says to people that that's love, that love looks like,
Yes,
when you do wrong, and even if you are not in the wrong, that I'm able to say, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I'm sorry it didn't work out, and let me help you get to where you want to go next.
right.
Love says in separation that you spent time here. You spent your heart and your energy here. You gave us of something of yourself, and because you did such, no matter what happened, right or wrong or indifferent, love says that I am going to, one, acknowledge that energy that you gave us, that value that you gave us. But not only am I going to acknowledge it, I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to provide you all of the support that I can as you move on. Listen to me, folks. How you welcome people matters, but how you separate tells the tale. People remember, right? But people say, people gonna remember how you made them feel.
How you made them feel. People remember how they may not remember what you said, but they definitely gonna remember how you made them feel. And let me tell you, they gonna talk about you. So when you talk about your character and you trying to protect your character, your organization's character speaks to all the leadership, because it talks about what your identity is. It talks about your values. Say it. It talks about your identity. The way you let people separate speaks. You can have it all written down. We love people. And then you separate with them and you make them feel like they didn't matter or what they did didn't count. And it speaks to the identity and values of your corporation. It speaks to it, folks. It speaks to the culture in your corporation. And they're going to go out and they're going to talk about you. And they're going to say, when I left there, they knew they were wrong. And they refused to say that they were wrong. And I would never go back there. And I advise you not to apply.
There you go, right there. I don't know what folks who are listening or watching, but if you didn't hear anything about heart-centered leadership, if you heard nothing and cared about nothing that we've said, show me how you separate with employees, and I'll show you what kind of culture you have.
There you go. That's it. Drops the mic.
I want to say this. Not only I'll show you what kind of culture. Show me how you welcome, treat, and separate from people, and I'll show you if you love them.
That's an e-course.
And I'll show you if you love them.
That's an e-course right there.
Because remember, we only say there's only two things that are happening, right? You're either manipulating folks
or you're loving them.
Or you're loving them. The problem, the challenges that we see right now in organizations is not that performance is low. It's not that people are resigning at an all-time high rate. It's not that people are questioning whether or not organizations care. It's not all those things, even though it can be a lot of those things. The question really right now is, are you in a manipulation culture or a loving culture? That's the question.
That is the question.
That's it. Is the organization manipulating you or are they loving you? And what you will find hand over fist all the time is that where people are loved, they can speak to it immediately. And where people are manipulated, they've been speaking to it all along.
They've been speaking to it all along.
And
And I'm gonna tell you, let me tell you, look, evaluate your heart. Hurt feelings alert. Evaluate your heart. Evaluate why you do what you do. Evaluate what you do when people leave you. Evaluate it. Evaluate it. Because that will tell you who you are, and it'll tell you who your organization is.
And so these are three questions I'll leave people leaders with, especially enterprise level leaders, CHROs and human resource leaders who are really guiding this discussion in organizations. The first question is, what are you cultivating and nurturing? What are you cultivating and nurturing? Because, look, if you ask yourself that question right now, and you answer that question, like, what am I cultivating here? Am I cultivating love? Am I cultivating manipulation? Am I cultivating the status quo? Look, make it simple when you answer the question. If you can agree with, listen, there's two ways to exhibit any type of emotional behavior in an organization. It's manipulation or love. If you're able to get there, then ask yourself, what are you cultivating and nurturing? Period. The second question is, are you proactively investigating stories, statistics, and solutions? Let me.
That's too much work, Glenn.
I'm about to listen to me.
Glenn, that's too much work. You know what I got to do?
Glenn, when people are like, what do you mean stories, statistics, and solutions? What do you mean am I actively investigating? As a CHRO, as a human resource leader, you need to be investigating stories. You know what I'm talking about. Stories that you hear.
The rumor mill.
The stories that you hear about exclusion. The stories that you hear about workplace mistreatment. The stories that you hear about people being fed up, tired, and they're just ready to leave. The stories that you hear about, managers and leaders not respecting people, not valuing people, not treating them well. The stories that you hear all the time.
Investigate.
You hear them. You hear the stories that are fueling the ambivalence. They're fueling the disdain in your organizational culture. You must be actively investigating the stories, the statistics.
Yeah, I call it the smoke. Because where there's smoke, there is fire.
The statistics are going to show you. They're going to tell you a story. The statistics, the data will tell you a lot. Much of the data you actually, intentionally requested, right? You're tracking it. Facebook they ran studies and gathered all this data and it said something. They said, "Oh, we really didn't want to know that. Actually,
we weren't looking for that."
But the data didn't lie. Are you investigating the stats? Are you digging in on the stats to connect and correlate with the stories? The last piece are solutions. Are you searching for solutions? Are you inquisitive enough? Are you curious enough as a enterprise people leader to use the stories and the stats to fuel your drive and your energy to get to some solutions? The third question, and this is a big one.
I think that's 4.
No. That was one question. Are you proactively investigating stories, stats, and solutions? That's one question.
Okay.
The third question is this. Is your voice present in every room to represent and speak for the people you serve? No. You hear me? I'm not saying, are you sitting at the table? I'm not saying did you confirm the meeting request and you were present. And I'm asking you, is your voice present? Are you present through your voice, representing people that you serve? You're servant leader. You, as a CHRO, as a people leader, you are the voice of the people. I get it. You think your job is about policies and standards and adherence and guidelines and keeping everything in alignment. I get it, but the CHRO role, the leader role has evolved. I'm sorry. It's not just about guidelines and standards and operational standards and practices and policies and human resource management. No, it's evolved. You are the servant leader of people. You are the voice of people. Is your voice represented? You have to ask yourself those questions. From sourcing to separation, you've got to love on people. If you're not loving them, you're manipulating them. And if you're manipulating them, that means you're manipulating them from the time you write a job description to the time you post it, to the time you receive the application and you mine the apps and you select the people that you want to interview. You're manipulating them in the interview process. You're manipulating them when you hire them. You're manipulating them when you onboard them and then go put them through training. You're manipulating them when you have the annual good old-fashioned performance review. You're manipulating them when you say to them that we're going to make sure you shine. We're going to promote you. We're going to do the best we can. You're manipulating them every single moment you have with them until they decide enough's enough.
That's enough.
And when enough is enough in any relationship, tensions get heated. And then when tensions get heated, you're manipulating them because you have the unmitigated audacity to get mad at somebody who you mistreated. Come on, folks. You're either manipulating people or you're loving them. And we have the audacity to double down on the mistreatment when they decide to leave. And I know what you're saying. Glenn, it's not always our fault. Sometimes he's not, but I'm not talking about sometimes right now. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about people leaders. I'm talking about our accountability, our responsibility. You have to ask yourself, what are your intentions as a people leader from sourcing to separation? If your intention is to manipulate, you will have it. You will have it from the beginning to the end, and you will do it well. But if your intention is to love people, you will have it also. But if you're not in the loving culture right now, from sourcing to separation, you've got to stop, pause, and ask yourself the tough questions, but then go to work and show up in love in all these areas: the people, the culture, the excellence. Asking yourself, how do I love in these spaces? From sourcing to separation. It's all through intent. All through intent.
Well, folks, let me say this. We have come to an end.
Whew. I need a water
break. I know. It's an ending for our conversation today, but a beginning for some of you. And for some of you, it's an intensity. It's to increase the intensity of how you love and care about people. We're all learning. We're all demonstrating. Glenn and I are recovering manipulators.
Yeah.
We are recovering manipulators. And so I want you all, Glenn, if you don't mind, I'm going to give my final, and then I'm going to ask you to go to your final. But I want to just say this because I've been holding it for a while. I don't want you guys to miss the opportunity to impact a culture. I don't want you to miss an opportunity to rejuvenate, to impact a culture. It is so powerful. Our purpose is to serve. I want you to take a minute and increase your intention to love people by decreasing what you want for yourself and think about your organization as a whole. Think about people and what they need, and gain a curious mind as to what they need so that you can impact the culture. That's it. Don't miss the opportunity. It's an amazing feeling when you do. And when people walk away and say to you, if anything else comes up, give me a call. I'll be happy to come back. Those are the most inspirational words, and it lets you know that you've done a job well done. That's it. Glenn, what do you have for us today?
Hey, people come to us all the time, and they ask us about, helping them with turnover, and helping them with team engagement, and helping them with leadership development, and that's what we do for a living. But what I would like to tell you is, listen, people aren't leaving your agency in droves because you love them.
Mm-hmm.
People not resigning. The great resignation is not happening just because people found that they want to be an entrepreneur all of a sudden. No, that's not what's happening right now. People aren't leaving organizations just because they just want more vacation time, or or they want more and more money. It's not that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People are not leaving in droves for that. People are not leaving in droves because you just love incessantly about them. You just showing them all types of love. No. People are fed up. People are fed up. And if you're in an organization and you work in an organization right now, and you're a people leader right now, and you're asking yourself the question, you're sitting around tables and on Zoom calls with your team, and then the question is, what's happening with our team culture and our team engagement, and why turnover so high, and why are people giving us bad reviews, and why are we seeing all these resignations? Why are our productivity not as strong as it used to be? What's going on? What the hell is going on? I got your answer right here. You're manipulating them. You're manipulating them. And the human psyche will only stand but for so much manipulation. I don't care how much you're paying people. Doesn't matter how many Taco Tuesdays and First Fridays you got going on at your job. It doesn't matter. Manipulation will come to a halt at some point. I can save you some more Zoom calls. I can save you some more meetings. I can save you some more intense debates in your people operation discussions. I can save you some time right now today and let you know the answer is you're manipulating them.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop.
Thank you so much for that, Glenn. I think that's a great way to end. I really do. I think that that's an amazing way to end. Thank you so much, Glenn, for this conversation. I hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you, Shelby. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Pastor Loretta and Karen and Jessica. And I still see, I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's Najee or not.
Naj.
Huh?
Probably Naj.
Yeah, that's probably Naj. Thank you so much, Naj, so much. We appreciate you all coming in every day, and thank you for joining us even when we're sporadic. Once again, I am Renee Carter.
I'm Glenn Thomas.
And thank you for...
Girl, you better say, what are you
doing?
Talk
Live. I always go before you, so I stop. And we're going to end with comedy, right?
Yeah, we're going to end with comedy, always. We appreciate you guys
joining us on Heart Talk Live.
Yeah, we love you guys. Thanks so much.
We love y'all so much. Thank you so much.
Go love on your people.
Go love on your people.